The first item up would be adoption of some minutes from previous meetings, Committee of the Whole minutes from June the 2nd, regular open minutes from June the 2nd. Any council input? Hearing none, they will be adopted by consensus. No business arising. Late items, introduction of late items. There is one, a letter from the Royal Canadian Legion dealing with that. Is that a business item?
Yes.
Under business 7. Business 7 looks good. Any other changes to the agenda? Any other late items? Any council input? That will be adopted by consensus. Going to delegations, under number 1, Glenn Scott, General Manager of the British Columbia Fruit Growers Association. Mr. Lucas, please.
Thank you, Mayor Wells and councillors. It's a pleasure to be here again. We're out of apples, so we have these stress balls, which I probably should have handed out before the if there's not enough there, we'll get you some more.
Okay.
So thank you. It's a great pleasure to be here for our annual update to the council. This update will cover a few items. The first thing is the 125th anniversary of the BC Fruit Growers Association. We'll touch on the ALR and water and wildlife, labor, and of course our great partnership with the municipalities. Just go down. We need some one of those for the computer IT people. Oh, there you go. Okay, so that's what we're covering today. Thank you. And next slide. Our 125th anniversary. Our annual meeting was held February 14th and 15th, but we're celebrating all year long. We did host the Canadian Horticultural Council in March in Kelowna, but we're trying to spread things around a little bit around the valley. We just hosted an international meeting of scientists to talk about the sterile insect control program. And we're also hosting the CHC Apple working group in the Penticton area and hopefully touring down this way as well. That happens at the end of July. A number of other events that we do mostly every year, Rotary International Children's Festival in Penticton, Apple Triathlon up in Kelowna, and the Interior Provincial Exhibition in Armstrong. And we're paying attention to local community events and trying to get out to as much as we can this year. Yeah. So first item on a policy side is the Agriculture Land Reserve. The provincial government introduced Bill 24, an act to amend the Agriculture Land Commission, and a number of issues surrounding that, but agriculture is in favor of increased flexibility for agricultural uses. And we also supported provincial level decision making. Following its introduction, there was a big consultation with the new Minister of Agriculture, Norm Letnick, and the BC Agriculture Council, and we had a number of changes. So 6 panels have been proposed for making decisions in each of the 6 regions, and agriculture wasn't completely comfortable with that, and so that was changed so that the panel system will still be in place, but those decisions will be overseen and can be recalled to the provincial level. The other thing is that there was a number of non-agriculture uses, especially in Zone 2, which is the north and the Kootenays. And agriculture was uncomfortable with that, and so there was priority put so that agriculture uses are the first priority, and then non-agriculture uses in Zone 2 are lower priority in terms of decision making on subdivision and exclusion decisions. Agriculture is still opposed to a 2-zone approach, and we'd like to see 1 zone and uniform approach, and really focusing on agriculture uses. So we'll have to wait and see, and we'll look to councils to also monitor the situation closely as to who's on the panels and what types of decisions get made. So mentioned, we support the aims of the ALR, preserving agricultural lands and improving the economic returns for farming. We do take positions on individual exclusion and subdivision, not all of them, but some, and we comment on those separately from the whole ALR policy. The reason for this next bullet is that the municipality of Summerland has a process in place, and they asked us not to comment on that particular exclusion at their meeting, and so we respect that process, and there can't be discussion, and I'm not clear on it, between second and third or third and fourth readings. So you know all about those rules here, but anyways, we respect that, and we were asked not to comment on that. So we do appreciate the support of councils for the economic health and growth of agriculture. Water Sustainability Act. The new Water Act was passed this spring, and there was extensive consultation on that. In fact, I think it lasted 5 years. It was very incredible, the level of consultation on that. And that really is a model compared to, say, the Agriculture Land Commission amendments that came in fairly quickly. We support, the agriculture sector supports the new act. The next steps are regulations. We're interested in a possible pilot project on an agriculture water reserve in the Okanagan, or some portion of the Okanagan. There are water pricing issues, and the issue here isn't the delivery cost of the water. The issue is that the water purveyor, the manager of the water system, pays a license fee to the province, and those license fees are being reviewed. So it's kind of hidden from the end user, but it could potentially impact that price of water. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. We appreciate being involved in regional water planning. The Water Stewardship Council is part of the Okanagan Basin Water Board, and we have agriculture appointees to that Water Stewardship Council. And that's very important for the communication and to coordinate and cooperate our efforts on water. Also related to environment, wildlife issues. Urban wildlife management is becoming more of an issue for us. Deer and coyote populations seem to growers to be expanding, and certainly are impacting on replanted orchards. The deer like eating, browsing on the younger trees, and coyotes are impacting they break water irrigation systems to get water, so, and that causes extra work. There's also a bit of a safety issue with coyotes as well. I suppose with deer too, from what we've heard in the urban areas. They're habituated to settled areas, so in our view, they're no longer really wildlife, they're problem wildlife. And we've had similar problems with bears coming into municipalities, into settled areas. Fencing is a solution for orchards, but it really relocates the problem. So, you know, we'd like to talk about how we manage those wildlife issues, and it will differ from region to region, from municipality to municipality, and probably even within a municipality, how to manage that. So we need more discussion and more thought on that. Just quickly, our industry, farm gate value, $74.5 million in 2011 from the Census of Agriculture. Packed value of $160.5 million, and the economic activity or contribution to the economy is $552 million. And about half of that's in, I'll call it Summerland North, and half of it's in the south. Our aim is to increase that, and we want the export goal of the provincial government is to grow agriculture exports from $11 billion a year up to $14 billion plus per year by 2017. A fairly daunting goal, but certainly there was an announcement today about access of cherries and blueberries and other products into China, and so that's the type of moves that will really help. We need to expand and utilize unproductive lands in the agriculture land reserve. So we're looking, for many years there's been, cherries has been good, there's been growth there. Apples has been sluggish, it's stabilized now. We'd like to really get into expansion mode in soft fruits and apples and cherries. To that end, we're looking at a new industry strategy to focus our efforts on that. And one of the key things is we need a new provincial replant program, which was promised in the last provincial election, and we're working actively on that. Actually, later this week, we meet with an assistant deputy minister on that. Yep. Just a further breakdown to show how apples, cherries, and soft fruits break out. And certainly the soft fruits, peaches, pears, and plums, apricots, and so on, they're important in giving us variety in what we offer. So although they're at a lower level of economic contribution, their importance can't be overstated in terms of giving us that variety of product. Last year we talked about our labor in the Okanagan for the tree fruit sector. I think this applies to the grape sector as well, all horticulture sectors. We use a lot of workers and we need them seasonally. Our choice is to use local domestic workers first. We have hired a facilitator for 2014. His name is Ron Forrest. He's currently camped out in Oliver, and he does two things. First of all, he does safety and orientation training for the primarily Quebecois, French Canadians that come to town to help pick cherries. And so it's important to welcome those workers and to get them settled and working in a safe way. And then the second thing that he does is he match makes between the growers and the workers. So he helps place them. You can see on the upper right-hand photo, that's Ron Forrest on the left and a group of young workers that he's training there. However, we still have a shortfall. So foreign workers are used to fill that shortfall. And I'd like to emphasize today that our seasonal agriculture worker program is different from the temporary foreign worker program that you hear about in the news, the restaurants and the mines. And it differs from that low-skill worker program. The main difference that I see is the low-skill worker program is an agreement between the employer and the employee. And so there's not a lot of intermediaries in there. Our seasonal ag worker program is a four-way agreement. Service Canada is here in Canada. They represent the Canadian government. The Mexican government or Jamaican liaison service represents the foreign government. And then the employer and employee. And the foreign government actually recruits the workers in the foreign country. So the first time you get workers, if I was a grower and I had a shortfall in workers last season, I said, I need a couple of workers. I have to get the approval of the Canadian government. I have to get my housing inspected. And there's a lot of other requirements there. And then I will be provided 2 workers. I don't pick them. The Mexican government selects those workers. And then after that, I can ask for the workers back. And we do see, I'd say the predominant number of workers, we haven't got numbers on this, but just from what I know, it's like 90% return to the same farm. That's, so that should tell you something about the program. The consulates monitor and intervene when issues arise. We have a number of systems. We have a toll-free number for people to call. Certainly I receive calls and then I communicate with the consulate. So issues will arise. It's a labor management relationship. You always have issues there, but we do have systems to help out. We appreciate any input or ideas on how to improve the program, and certainly if there's any specific issues, contact us. Regional district programs currently in place. We really appreciate the municipal support of agriculture issues at the Union of BC Municipalities annual meeting. Highway signage issue, I don't need to tell this council anything about that. But it is important to local farm businesses. If you're off the highway, that's your lifeblood is that sign. So that's we've been involved in attending meetings, and hopefully we can work through those issues and at the same time help the guide business to those particular farms. Municipal regional government programs that we really appreciate. The wood waste or processing or chipping program, that's an alternative to burning, and the regional districts operate those programs. Sterile insect release program, you've actually got the factory here for producing sterile insects in Osoyoos. It's an amazing facility. And that's to control codling moth using insects that are sterilized. They're reared and then sterilized using radiation. And then we release them to the wild, and they interfere with the wild moths, the breeding. And just an aside here, I know whenever we visit that plant, people are amazed at how well designed it is. It's over 20 years old. It might be 30 years old now. It's over 20 years old, and people said if you had to build it again, you'd do it the same way. And it's just an amazing facility. It's a real jewel. We'd like to make better use of it and maybe have more insects and more utilization of that. And the scientists that were here last week are looking at that, and they're doing a report on that. So that should help us move forward with SIR. Starling control program, not a huge program, but important to growers, kind of like the deer. But in this case, they're problem wildlife. They're invasive. We can trap them and humanely euthanize the starlings. We use CO2, and they die very quickly. And that reduces that damage to our crops, but also they do interfere with local songbirds and wildlife. And it reduces the use of noise devices to scare the birds away from the orchards. We really appreciate those industry partnerships. That's it's something that other agriculture sectors look to the Okanagan and say it's a great thing that we work so closely together with our municipalities. Request for action. Continue to refer items to municipal or regional district ag advisory committees. We think those are good groups to get down to the nuts and bolts of any issues before you may, as a council, make decisions. Help us keep a watch on Bill 24, the Agriculture Land Commission Amendment Act. Help industry implement the new strategy that we're working on. So we haven't written it yet, so you can't help us implement it today, but in future. Keep open the communication on seasonal ag workers. If there's particular problems, we want to hear about it and solve them. And we just really appreciate that great relationship that councils have with agriculture. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Great. Thanks a lot, Mr. Lucas. Any questions? Any questions coming forward? I guess I have one. I haven't had a bird banger phone call yet, but the cherries aren't really dead ripe yet, and people are getting panicky. But what are you doing in that regard to the bird bangers?
Yeah. So really, our main effort is to reduce the starling population, and that's, I'd say, had reasonable effect. I've talked to many growers who say they no longer turn their bird bangers on. Now, having said that, there are some areas where we haven't got the starling population under control, and so those areas, the farmers need to protect their crops. And one of the ways of doing that is netting. It's expensive, it's hard to put out, and you have to take it off at your busiest time of year, so you have to kind of stop doing what you're doing, harvesting cherries, and start pulling this net off, which is an extra task. So it's difficult to manage, but it is a solution. The other solution is noise scaring devices, but there are guidelines. They're not to be going off at 2 a.m. in the morning. There's hours of use between dawn and dusk, and certain numbers of bangs per hour and so on. But I think the best solution is really to reduce that starling population. And we have, we're meeting with the trappers actually on Wednesday, so I could tell you after that how many trappers we have. I think it's about 5. Okay. And they're doing a great job. They trap about 40,000 to 50,000 starlings per year. Mm-hmm. So that really reduces the pressure and helps things out. But we're not at the stage where we've reduced it far enough to eliminate all those bird bangers. That's for sure.
I'd like to go back and tell people that I'm old enough to remember when the starlings first started being a pest. It was a nickel a leg.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Hopefully we don't go back there.
Okay. What I'll do is I'll send you a copy of the guidelines of for use of the bird bangers.
Well, that would be valuable for our office here too.
Yeah.
Because that actually can happen within town limits.
Okay.
Anything else from Councillor Ryan?
Yes, thanks, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Lucas, you mentioned Bill 24, and that went through the legislature quite quickly, and I didn't get to review it very much, but you seem to be suggesting that there were going to be there could be overrides at the provincial level. Is that what you were suggesting, that the local panels might make a decision and it could be appealed? Is that, could you elaborate on that a little more?
Yes, if I could explain the current system before any of the regulations changes, that actually it can be by panel, by region, or provincial decisions. But for the last number of years, it's been provincial panel. So they call together people from each of the regional panels to make a decision on any exclusion applications. Our preference for that is based on there's not the pressure that we see on regional panelists for on a provincial panel, and so the decisions tend to be for the right reasons, whether it's an exclusion or not. It's about the process and the information that's provided, and our concern is that with regional panels is that there may be undue pressure on regional panelists in terms of making decisions a certain way. The new act sets up that there will be regional panels, so it's no longer optional. There will be regional panels making decisions. However, those decisions will be monitored by the provincial panel, or actually by the chair, who can set up a provincial panel. And if it's important, he will refer that regional decision to a provincial panel, and they can override the regional panel or make a new decision.
So
is that clear?
It's the chair's decision about whether to refer a
That's my understanding.
Panel. Yeah. Okay. Good. Yes, that is helpful. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you very much for your presentation. Good to have you come by once a year. I always like it, but I was a farmer, but I think everyone does, and there's good value here for the community, and usually we find something to talk about, the borders and the boundaries and setbacks and things like that. So,
thank you very much for your time and interest. Really appreciate it.
Great. Yep. Thank you. Okay, moving on into water matters. Water district accounts payable in the amount of $26,137.64. Marrera Laranjo. Any discussion? All in favor? Paying the bills. Going to correspondence. Looking for probably a motion to receive from the report from the meeting highlights of the Okanagan Basin Water Board, and a letter from the Osoyoos Museum Society, appreciation for the town grant they received. Councillor Ryan, please.
Yes, I would move acceptance of both of those, and I will call attention, because it's part of the Basin Water Board's meeting highlights, about asking legislators to take action on the invasive species of the quagga mussel, and I'll say more about that in my report. But I have a sign.
Oh, you've got it up. Oh, good for you.
That that I know I can count on Val to get a nice close-up of. So I'll say more about that later. But right now I'll move receiving these two.
Okay, thank you. And Rhodes seconding. Any discussion? All in favor? They are in receipt. Moving to bylaws under H1. Public Moorage Regulation Amendment Bylaw 1287.01 2014, and Municipal Ticketing Information System Amendment Bylaw 1279.08 2014. First three readings. Report from Mr. Romanko.
Thank you, Mayor Wells. The Public Moorage Regulations Amendment Bylaw 1287.01 2014 and accompanying Municipal Ticket Information Amendment Bylaw 1279.08/2014 have been prepared for Council's consideration. The proposed amendment to the public moorage regulation should add the definition of power loading. Power loading is defined as loading a boat without onto a boat trailer without the assistance or with the assistance of an engine power. Power loading will be prohibited at the marina and therefore will be subject to issuance of a municipal ticket. The corresponding fine of $100 for this infraction will be added to the public moorage regulations bylaw fine schedule 25 within the municipal ticket information bylaw system. In terms of implementation, the community ability to enforce additional infractions under the public moorage regulations bylaw by way of ticketing. Just speaking a little bit more in terms of community impact, over at the marina, the last 2 years we've had issues with people loading in this manner, causing a huge dip in front of our ramp, and and what happens is people end up not being able to load their boats because of that. This caused us to put an additional $19,000 extension to our ramp. There should be absolutely no reason for power loading, but if there is, this is what we want to address with this fine. In terms of organizational, just the staff time for enforcement. Budget, no impact. Significant dates, we want to have it in place for the marina season this year. Sustainability, enforcement of the town regulations under the public moorage regulation bylaw number 1287. The options that we're providing is that council give first 3 readings to this amendment. That's option number 1. And actually to the first public moorage regulation amendment bylaw number 1287.0114 and the first 3 readings to the Municipal Information Ticket System Amendment Bylaw number 1279.08/2014. The second is that we return these 2 bylaw amendments to staff, and the third is that these 2 bylaw amendments be abandoned, and we're recommending option number 1.
Thanks, Mr. Romanko. I've got quite a few questions. I don't know if council does. What was the background to this? Where did this come from? The request, or?
The request came from me.
Okay.
Because again, as noted, when the marina first went into operations, we had a real problem with this, and created that the problem where we couldn't load any boats. So we had that issue addressed. In the second year, we still were having a problem. It wasn't quite as bad. We put the extension on, and now we're just kind of catching up in terms of legislation to say, look, if you are loading now, there's absolutely no reason for it. So this would enable our bylaw officers to issue a ticket.
Okay, I'm having a bit of trouble with this. I know the damage, and I know the dollar value, and I lived there, so I watched one down when they were actually putting the mats in to try to stop this, but I don't know if it's stoppable. Would this apply to the Haynes Point launch too?
No, just to the marina.
Just to the marina. I mean, it makes sense. It's administratively correct, but I think everyone's going to keep driving their boats on the way they do it. I think they do it. That's an international. Do we have any background on the bylaw from other communities? Is this? I'm not a boater anymore, but is this what other communities do?
Well, it is a prohibited activity. The boating association, if you Google power loading, it shows you not to do it.
Okay.
And sometimes the way to get people not to do it is to actually, first of all, there is signage that says don't do it.
Okay.
And if you do it, if you don't follow the signage in the bylaw, then there should be consequences.
Okay. Well, you know what? No, I understand. Councilor McCordock.
Yeah, thank you. I do recall, I totally agree with these new bylaws, and I think that I recall people with smaller boats having a very difficult time getting their boats in and out of the water, and some people actually having problems with their motors after because they bottomed out or they were caught. So I think we need to do something there, so I'm in favor of it.
Okay, great. Councilor Ryan.
I will move the wording in option 1.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll second.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Any further dialogue? I mean, I'm comfortable with it. It just sort of catching me off guard. I'll get very comfortable with it, I'm sure. Councilor Ryan.
Yes, well, I know that I support it because I know that we've had considerable expense in repairing the damage done by it. But I just wanted to ask, you know, I mean, it's fine to ticket someone, but you have to be there to do it, and I'm just wondering about the actual implementation of this, how, whether it'll be the harbor master who reminds people, or whether he'll be the one that cites them. Are we going to appoint a new person as, you know, with bylaw powers, who will be down there more often than just our roving bylaw person?
No, we'll be just using our roving bylaw people. They're walking back and forth. Again, we ask our harbor master to communicate with people and pass on the rules and that. But I don't see us providing them bylaw authority to implement. This is more of a again, having the option if it is or if there's complaints.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. No, it's. Yeah.
And people can drive their boat on to a trailer. It's a matter of whether they forcefully
Right.
load it up.
Right.
Especially with the jet boats
Yes.
that create the holes.
Okay. No, I think that's this is interesting. So, anything further? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Yep. Moving into business. Business 1. Out of town meeting for me. This goes back quite a ways. Well over a month, to the Silga conference in Penticton. That was a long day. That was a 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. and out-of-town attendance looking for a resolution.
I just
Ryan.
wanted to question, has the statute of limitations expired on this?
Well, I missed when you and Councilor McCordock applied, so.
I would move acceptance.
Okay, thank you.
I'll second
And
it.
Councilor McCordock, who were at the conference with me. All in favor, opposed, carried. Thank you. Business number 2, Community Work Fund Agreement, April 2014 to March 2024, from Director of Financial Services, being handled by CAO Romanko, please.
Thank you, Mayor Wells. The Community Works Fund was established in 2005 for a 10-year period expiring in 2015. This revised agreement before Council is to replace the existing Community Works Fund agreement with a new agreement that will run from April 1st, 2014 to March 31st, 2024. This program is providing long-term predictable federal funding to local governments for investments in capital and capacity building projects. This program is administered through the UBCM. The Town of Osoyoos annual funding for this program is $177,708. With this amending agreement, the municipality will see their annual funding increase to $244,652 in 2014, a $69,944 increase per year, and an estimated $334,720 increase over the next 5 years. In addition, the UBCM will be making a payment for interest accumulated over the first term of the contract, no specific amount at this time. The original agreement was limited to the following project categories, and I won't go through all the subcategories, but needless, the major categories were public transit, community energy systems, water and wastewater, solid waste management, and capacity building, which included a number of different plans that we could apply the funding to. In the amending agreement has increased from the 5 project categories to 18 project categories as referenced in Schedule B of the new agreement, and include local roads, highways, short sea shipping, regional and local airports, broadband connectivity, public transit, drinking water, wastewater, solid waste, community energy systems, brownfield redevelopment, sports infrastructure, recreational infrastructure, cultural infrastructure, tourism infrastructure, disaster mitigation, and capacity building. The implications to the community: increased benefit to the community through infrastructure projects funded in whole or in part by federal gas tax funds. Organizationally, no impacts. Reporting requirements are similar. Budget: increased annual gas tax funding by $66,944. Once the agreement is signed, payments will begin in July 2014. Sustainability: if approved, secures annual gas tax funding to March 31, 2014. And the options as presented are: 1, to authorize the mayor and corporate officer to sign the Community Works funding agreement from April 1, 2014 to March 31st, 2024. And option 2, maintain the existing agreement to 2015 and not sign a new agreement, when we're recommending option number 1.
Council, please. Councillor McCordock.
Yes, I'd like to move option 1 to sign the Community Works Fund agreement for 10 years.
And Councillor Rhodes for a seconding. Discussion. Councillor McCordock.
Thank you. When I looked at this, I didn't realize that this was basically the gas tax funding, and I had to read it a couple times to realize it was the same thing. I just think that it's a wide-ranging program. There's lots of things that we could apply for, and it increases by $66,000 a year. To me, it's a no-brainer. I'm all for it.
Okay. Anything further? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Next up would be a letter from the town of Osoyoos sending a letter to the city of Moncton, re the 3 RCMP officers. I'll let Councillor Rhodes address this.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Well, I hadn't intended this to show up in the regular meeting, but we didn't have a committee of the whole meeting this morning, so thanks for putting it on there. Those tragic events that happened are, well publicized. I don't think we need to really go over it. I just thought it would be a, kind of a nice gesture for our community to send a letter. Maybe condolence is the wrong, bad choice of words, but certainly something that shows empathy and some of our feelings towards that community and some of the events that happened there. And that was the purpose of that email.
I think condolences, letter of condolences and support is good. And we have that second.
Yes, I would second that gladly.
Okay. Any further discussion? I think it's a great idea. All in favor? We'll get that letter out, and if we get it out as soon as we can, would be the request on that. Thank you very much. Next is again a letter of support from the Osoyoos Senior Center, applying for a New Horizons grant. A lot of these grant funds like to have the support of town councils and that in there. Councils wish on this? Councillor Ryan?
Yes, absolutely. I support us sending a letter.
Rhodes seconding. Any dialogue on this? Pretty straightforward. All in favor? We'll give that letter of support. Then the next item up is sewer servicing of the Butula property. A report from CAO. Mr. Romanko, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, as attached, please find a previous staff report that addresses the Butula's request to receive town sewer service. This July 2nd, 2014 report was taken to council, and a motion to provide service to the Butulas and their neighbors was defeated. The general direction of council at that time was that no extraterritorial sewer service would be provided until the sewer capacity study was completed. The sewer capacity study is now completed and out for public comment. The attached report from July 02/2014 has three options for the Butulas to access sewer and costing identified by True Consulting. The Butulas are continuing to seek council approval for service, however, have additionally asked by way of the included email that their property be taken into the town boundaries. Council approval to initiate a town boundary expansion may decrease the cost of the Butulas. There are several options and factors to consider when exploring the sewer servicing of Butula property, and I'll outline the factors below. 1. If the town was to service the Butulas in the RDOS, the town would have to develop a service agreement with the RDOS for one property and apply a capacity charge to the service. 2. If the Butulas were within the town boundary, there would be no need for a service agreement and no capacity charge. 3. The only current capacity charge identified by the town is $8,000 per single family unit that we use for the Osoyoos Indian Band. Number 4, the Butula's easiest service is to connect to the sewer main that runs right in front of their house. Given that they are not in the town, they would have to pay the normal connection service fees and capacity charge. Administration opinion is that they wouldn't have to pay the extraterritorial service provision, Northwest Sewer Public Works Policy 13, Northwest fee of $23,790. This fee is identified for new development properties identified within the policy and in the Northwest Sewer Service area. The current $8,000 fee could be charged as a capacity charge. The Butulas can also explore option number 3 in the True report that has the town getting an easement from the Elks, and then a gravity feed is developed into the 62nd Avenue services. Number 6, there is an option to explore adding the 3 additional residential properties on the block within the town boundary. This action would provide more tax revenue for the administrative time spent seeking a town expansion. Implications, community, the benefit is more focused on the individual properties. 2, organizationally, staff time needed to implement the needed administrative processes. 3, budget, sewer operations budget would benefit from more users. All other costs can be paid by the property owners. Significant dates, the Butula has been waiting for an answer for their service request for several years, and they would like to have an answer as soon as possible. Sustainability is enhanced by having residential sewers linked to an urban system rather than through a septic field. Administration has identified 6 options, the first being to deny the Butula's request for service. The second, delay providing an answer until the public review of the sewer capacity study is completed. Number 3, deny the Butula's request to enter the town and approve the provision of sewer service to their property based on connection to the sewer main fronting their property, payment of connection fees, and capacity charge of $8,000. Number 4, deny the Butula's request to enter the town and approve the provision of a sewer service to their property based on developing easement agreement with the Elks, connection to the sewer main on 92nd Avenue, payment of connection fees and capacity charge of $8,000. Number 5, approve the Butula's request for inclusion in town limits and provide services based on current bylaws. And number 6, approve the Butula's request for inclusion in town boundaries, provide the Butula's sewer service from the main fronting their property based on current sewer fees and charges bylaws, and an $8,000 capacity charge. The capacity charge will be refunded if the Butula's property enters the town boundary. The administration is to seek out the interest of the remaining 3 residential properties in the block to be included in the town boundaries. The recommendation the administration has recommends option number 6. The sewer capacity study illustrates that sufficient capacities are available to take sewer from the 4 properties. There is more value added to the community to have a larger tax base, therefore efforts can be made to include these properties. If the contiguous properties don't want to enter into the town, then the Butulas will be the only addition to the town. Collection with subsequent refund of a sewer capacity charge will enable the Butulas to proceed with developing their sewer service concurrently with the boundary expansion administrative process. Alternatively, the administration recommends option number 3. This is implementation of this option will enable Butulas to proceed with their project with no additional council decision needed on boundary expansion and or administrative action to seek out a boundary extension. I rest my case.
Okay, just, let's do the one correction there, right at the very start.
Yeah.
2013 is the year,
In
about the third word in.
And it was twice, the first paragraph and the second paragraph.
Okay.
has
Oh,
it
okay.
both, yeah.
My apologies.
Okay, just for,
I was trying to
oh,
get into
there
the
it is too, it
yeah.
is the second paragraph also on the overview.
13, yeah.
Just to correct that for, so we don't have to do it in the minutes. Now, I just, so your recommendation, number 3, that
That's
deny the
alternatively.
request to enter. The fronting and the payment of connection fees. Okay. Okay. Okay, council, please. What's Councilor Rhodes?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to make a motion kind of based on option number 6, which was the recommended one. But I feel that some of the wording in the recommendation has to be part of the motion as well, particularly for properties but having said that, I still don't feel really comfortable because I don't really know anything about boundary expansion. Although I like the motion, I'd like to make that, if we could fold some of that wording into number 6 as it's worded in the options. I feel compelled to learn a little bit more about boundary expansion. I don't know if it takes a day, 6 days or 6 months or 6 years. I don't really know anything about it. I don't believe that in the recent history that we've done a boundary expansion of any kind, so I don't even know how contemporary or how current our information would be. But I feel more compelled to move forward with this than I do about finding the information, because I think we can find the information and still move forward at this time. So I think a little bit of wordsmithing might be necessary. I would probably ask Councillor Ryan for some assistance with that. I don't know what we, if, provided that there's a seconder to my motion.
Okay, looking for a seconder. Councillor Plant. On this one here, for the Butulas, they've been at this for a long period of time, and the Butulas are here in the meeting room in council chambers. So they've been at this, and it's nice to provide that, but again, council really still hasn't come to whether we're doing extraterritorial or not anymore. We did the extraterritorial, so what we're trying to achieve here is approve the request for inclusion into the town, moving town boundaries, and at the same time looking at the other 3 lots beside you, the 3 neighboring lots beside you, and seeing if they want to come. And the only thing wrong with that would be the potential time frame, because it's going to have to go to some form of petition. If there was a negative person there that didn't want to join, then you're going to have to go to some form of petition, vote, tally, count of some kind. And council feels sympathetic to your, goodness gracious, 5-year-long pursuit of this situation. So we're trying to get that language where yes, you can petition on your own. We want to see it as a bigger petition. We want to see it as a petition of the 4, but we're not going to hang you up if the 4 is a hang-up. Did that make sense? Okay. Councillor Ryan, please.
Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, I think I'm sympathetic, but I don't think we should expand the town one house at a time. So what I would like to see, I think what is workable, and if you look at the map that we're looking at, if you were to include four houses or 4 sites there, parcels, you'd come right out to 87s, and it makes a clean situation. So I think in light of the motion that's already there, I'll put this forward, that and see how it works with what you have in mind, Councillor Rhodes. That the staff, town staff, contact the 4 properties. We know where the Butulas stand on this. The 4 properties, inviting them to join the town in a boundary expansion and receive municipal services as a result. If we're unsuccessful in getting all 4 properties in, that we would, as a default, we would bring the Butulas into the town and provide them with the service.
Okay, now that's got a lot of, I like it. That's what we're trying to do. Yeah. But it's got a lot of hooks in it. Could we, how about if we get staff to come back to us and find out what that involvement is? What the process is? If you had we could go to the provincial government and say, okay, we want to, there's 4 people that want to come in. What happens if 1 doesn't? And get that answer, and we can get that in 2 weeks, right. And maybe get this crafted the right way. I'm just
so perhaps direct staff to investigate this possibility, this method of doing it, mm-hmm. and report to us at the next meeting.
And then that'll answer Councillor Rhodes. It'll be 2 weeks more. You know where we're coming from. We've stated that. Let's find out what is involved there, and then we can talk about it from an informed basis instead of none of us being informed here on on what we want to do. Mr. Romanko, comment
sure.
on that?
Yeah, it's only a 2-week process, and I can see additional information in terms of bylaw expansion, just providing more information in terms of helping with the decision-making process. And yeah.
Okay, now that would involve the mover and seconder taking that off the table.
Yeah, I think I feel comfortable with that, so I'll withdraw the motion, and hopefully it'll be seconded. I think that it's so important that we look at the bigger picture as well, because we have this desire right now based on some good common sense and logic. However, more requests may come in the future, so we have to view this as not only being for this particular group. We may get others in the future, so it would be important for the council, to be informed and knowledgeable about this kind of thing, because I just think that there's going to be lots of opportunities coming along, and we need to have that background, and we need to know how to move forward with it. So yeah, I'll withdraw that motion, and we'll be back in 2 weeks with the right way to do it. Yeah.
Good points, Councillor Rhodes, and the seconder withdraws that motion.
That was actually
Councillor Pont. Sorry, withdraws that motion. And we're at a bit of a crossroads here, because we had the capacity report, and we were sitting back and holding on that, and we still are. And what council has before them now is whether we're going to move forth with extraterritorial. You people have applied. We're not taking that back off. We're going to find out but there's going to be other areas that want to come, and we have a policy decision coming up. Of just where we're going. I mean, we did Northwest Sewer, but that was a lake issue and a tourism issue, and there was 140 properties there. So that was different, and now we have to start looking whether we're going to expand boundaries. So we have quite a bit of decision-making, policy setting to do here. So if we can get this 2 weeks and get some more information, at least we're going to get this one in sync and at the right step with where council wants to go on that. So that's briefly where we are. So now if I could take a motion to refer this to administrative staff. Councillor Rhodes?
I've crafted one here. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, a motion to direct administration to bring council information on boundary expansion processes, which will assist council with additional background in their decision, to assist council with additional information, additional decision-making information, which will provide council with additional decision-making information.
And that seconder, Councillor
Sorry, I just want to ask, so where's the decision then for the Butulas?
Butulas? 2 weeks' time.
Okay. So, okay.
You'll second that?
Well, what I'd like you to say is that we are going to approve their request, but we are going to be looking at future to go in the town as far as our town boundaries. So what I'm saying is that my first motion was that I would approve what they're asking for, but we need to take it to a larger level and look at boundary expansion instead of doing these one-offs. But that they understand that we are interested in them being part of the town boundaries.
Could I ask that we don't go there, because you're committing and you're sort of pushing and pulling at the same time. I know we'd like to offer some comfort to the Butulas, but I think we should wait the 2 weeks and get that information. But Councillor Rhodes.
I was just going to mention that in 2 weeks, we probably will get this identical report back again. And the agenda could possibly be staged with the information about boundary expansion prior to this. And then we would have very current knowledge about how to move forward with it, which would be a powerful influence on the decision-making of this particular report. If it's on the agenda the other way around next time, that would be a little difficult. So if we carefully stage the agenda to get that information, then we have very, very current stuff, and then I would feel comfortable with that, because I'm as motivated to move forward with this as anybody, but there is a bigger picture that we have to
And it's 3
Councillor
weeks.
Font, do you understand where I was coming from?
No, I totally understand. Yeah, I get where we're coming from. I wanted to know if this comes in 2 weeks and we're just saying, are we actually saying no to them because we've decided to go and find research on town boundary expansion? Because honestly, if that comes back and says, well, this is the way we're going to do it, I'm going to be agreeing to that. So all I'm saying is I understand that in 2 weeks from now we're going to understand. How about 3 weeks?
It's 3 weeks, actually. till the next meeting.
That we're going to be doing
That's even better.
understanding on town boundaries, but it doesn't change my, it doesn't change their request.
Yeah. No, not at all. Not at all.
In a sense.
Okay, Mr. Romanko first.
Yeah, the only, I guess the only comment I have is the additional information will assist council in determining, first of all, is a one property boundary expansion possible? So you would be able to make a decision whether to provide service or not to a house in town. Maybe it's not possible, and then council would be going through a decision-making process whether or not you would want to provide service to a property that's not inside the town.
Okay, and then that brings forth our whole philosophical question that we have before us. What are we doing with this again? We did it once, but whether we're going to continue doing that has to be. So I think we're in the right place here, getting to further information. I really think that's the right resolution to have there. Councillor Ryan, please.
Yes, thank you. I agree. I was just going to offer that if it's any comfort that we could add to that resolution. It says provide council more information for decision making. We could always add the phrase regarding the request of Butula and 3 adjacent northern properties. So in other words, that's really what we're wanting the information for, is to say what's the process.
But it's still not going to. It's not the guarantee.
No.
I really think we're at the right spot, finding that information,
Okay.
particularly with what Mr. Romanko said on a one lot.
Yeah.
We don't know costs or time or so.
Process.
We're with you, but we're gonna. I think we have to go that
more
2
info.
week window. Councilor McCordoff?
No, 3 week.
Well,
window,
3
actually,
I'm
but
sorry.
Yeah, but that gives us a little more time.
Figuratively
Yeah,
speaking.
yeah. No, I'm for that. Sure.
Councilor Rhodes.
Well, not to start the promotion on the next meeting, not the one in 2 weeks, but the one. We, you know, for the Butula's comfort, there's obstacles that are put up in front of council, and I'm not sure if you've been following this really close, but we've already knocked one out of the way already with that sewer capacity study. That study clearly told us that we have the capacity to offer if we move forward with it, and that was a major piece of information that we required, because we actually had a resolution in front of us that stopped us from moving forward until we were able to evaluate that capacity study. So it's not like we're standing still with this. We are moving forward. Regrettably, it doesn't move at the pace a lot of people would like, but it does move forward. And I just wanted to mention that for your comfort, your own level of comfort, that there's something being done about this. That sewer capacity study was a very, very important piece of information that could have, if the results were different, stalled all kinds of different expansion ideas and opinions that we had. So I just wanted to pass it on to you.
I'm going to call the question. All in favor. Oh, look, maybe we could have it reread, please.
Is there a seconder?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Mike Plum.
I will be seconding that. I just wanted to say that only because I believe that it is something that we have to look further into as far as town boundaries, not just in that direction, but in every direction in this town. So it is important that we do have, that we do understand how that's going to work as far as town boundaries, because it's not just in that direction. It's going to happen in every direction this town goes. So I do get that part of it. I just want to make sure that the Butulas know that we understand their plague with this. So.
Okay, now could we have the motion read?
Moved by Councillor Rhodes, second by Councillor Plant, and resolved that Council directs administration to bring to Council further information in 3 weeks' time on town boundary extension processes to assist Council with its decision making.
Okay, that's fine. Anything further? Hearing none, all in favor. Opposed, carried. Great. The addition to the agenda, which I called B7, is actually B6, and this would be the letter from the Legion, and they are asking again for support for a New Horizons program, and looking for Councillor Ryan.
I would move that we support them with a letter.
Great. Councillor Rhodes seconding, and any discussion on this? Good programs, right to the very heart of the community, fridges and stoves, and preparing food for people. So anything further? All in favor? We will get that letter away, and I believe there's a timeline with that, Mr. Romanko.
Yes, we'll provide it immediately.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Bringing us to any notice of motions? No notice of motion. Reports, General Sun Bowl Arena payroll accounts, representing balances in the following funds. General account $343,841.48. Sun Bowl account in the amount of $7,856.60, and payroll accounts for receipt only in the amount of $62,806.62. Any council input into that? Adopted by consensus. And the building permit for the month of May, I'm a little behind here, and the total for the month was $194,500, made up of, there was one two-story addition, $95,000, and the other were swimming pools and a few things like that. Total to date, 2014, $2,108,000, and total to date a year ago, 1.6. So while it isn't the lofty highs of 2008, it is an improvement over last year. Motion to receive from Rhodes McCordoff. Any discussion? All in favor? That has been received. And heading to committee reports. an Affordable Housing Authority study group. Councillor Ryan, please.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Well, our committee, or our task force perhaps, met, and Councillor McCordoff and I with Director Cunningham, and we did look at, he gave us an agenda of several items that were key, and so we've addressed those under the various headings that he has there. The committee is proposing that it be called the Housing Authority, and that it have councillors as well as the public on it as members, that it would focus on near market housing for working families, and that it would we would consider some of the other needs, but as a lesser priority, a secondary priority. And we did mention that perhaps affordable units would be possible on the town lot on the home building supply property when it comes on the market or comes available. And then membership, we are recommending a total of between 7 and 8 people, including 2 councillors, and then 5 to 6 members of the community with specific skill sets, and the Director of Planning as an ex officio member for resources, for a resource person. So that's where we are, and I think that probably this might be something that we might want to bring to a committee of the whole, so that we can react to these recommendations coming from this group, and then that having been done, the terms of reference could be finalized.
Okay, that gets us through the committee reports. CAO report.
Thank you, Mayor Wells. Just a few of the activities the administration has been involved in since last meeting, starting first with community services, and Director Davies has been busy with the community services master plan review, and just along that line, just letting people know that the public consultation meeting we had planned for this week has been canceled. We went through the report, and we had asked the consultant to do a number of changes, and those changes were going to take more time than the meeting would allow to get before the meeting. So we'll be rescheduling that meeting. Also, the arena paint up and cleanup is happening right now. Corporate services attended the Transit Future Plan stakeholder meeting, dealing with bylaw enforcement issues, including vicious dog, parks, and traffic. The emergency social services kicked into gear last week as a result of the fire last week. Jeanette attended the Local Government Management Association conference in Vancouver, dealing with ongoing ICBC claims right now. Also assisting with property tax payments at the front counter, and we're finalizing the park bylaw brochure. Finance has been working with the Osoyoos Indian Band on the fire hall contribution agreement, full swing for collection of utilities and property taxes, and a reminder that the rural water is due June 16th and property taxes July 2nd. Public Works, the new seasonal employee, Brad, has been working really well, as well as the 3 students that they've been a great addition to the regular staff. Work at the Marina Ramp is underway, with the remainder of the capital projects to follow. They should be starting on the storm sewer on Main Street this week. I see the pipe has been stockpiled. Regular maintenance of all our infrastructure is going on. The new tractor has been ordered and should arrive late June, and waiting for WorkSafe approval to order a new man bucket for Public Works. Myself, just been dealing with some staffing issues, the Airport Expansion Committee conference call, again involved in a community service master plan review, also dealing with many notable issues related to the MMBC program. I think it's true to say that we are probably further ahead been many communities. In fact, people are coming to take a look at how we've set up our operations there, and we should be getting some cement pads done up here in the next couple of weeks, and hopefully we'll be moving on. Again, I express my on behalf of the operatives there for people's patience, and these are rules that are being implemented by a provincial program, and they're not our rules, especially the separation ones. I had the privilege of hosting a delegation from New Zealand on Friday from Keikura. They're here on an exchange program, and Keikura is a small community on the southern island, 3,600 people, and they're on an exchange with the administrator from Revelstoke. So they were given several options, and they chose to come and visit our community. So we hosted them on Friday, and that's all I have to report.
Great. Thank you. Councillor reports. Councillor McCordoff, Rhodes, Ryan, Plant.
Thank you. I'll start. So the last couple of weeks have been pretty busy, and certainly no shortage of things to do in Osoyoos, so nobody can say that they can't find anything to do. There's way more things than you can attend. So I did go to the Splash Park opening, and thanks to the administration and Councillor Plant for getting that organized. It was a great day, and it's beautifully painted. I was also took part in the Relay for Life, which was on at behind the Sonora Center on the grass, and it wasn't too hot a day, so it was fine. I was at the horse races last weekend on Saturday, and that was a nice sort of a coolish day, and it had rained the day before, so we were lucky there. I also went to Market on Main on Saturday morning, where we have lots of local entertainers. Rusty was there on Saturday, and just as an example, I bought fresh bread, fresh cinnamon buns too, I only buy one at a time, fresh cherries, cucumbers, tomatoes, and salad greens, along with lots of other jams, jellies. Last week I think I bought some earrings that I quite liked. So lots of good things at Market on Main. Please come out and support them every Saturday morning, and in July and August they will be Wednesdays down at Gyro Beach. Tonight there is, at the Sonora Center, there's a Species at Risk workshop and an open house, I believe, not a workshop, from 6:30 to 8:30. So anybody who's interested in Species at Risk could go over there, and I think it's a drop-in. You don't have to stay for the whole time. And before our next council meeting in 3 weeks, we have several big events on in town. So I know you've heard them all before, but just a reminder, watch on our website, on the DO website, in the Osoyoos Times. There's the crowning of Miss Osoyoos and royalty on June 30th up at the High School Theatre. Desert Live, June 27th to the 30th, and the 66th annual Cherry Fiesta on July 1st. So Desert Live and Cherry Fiesta will all be down at Gyro Beach. So come out and enjoy all of these things, and they are made possible in this town because of the volunteers. Most of those events are put on by a wonderful group of volunteers to make this town a terrific place to visit and to live. So come and enjoy. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor McCordoff. Councillor Rhodes, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Well, I'll be short. I think I said everything I wanted to say at the AGM. Just one thing, I'd like everybody to think about July 1st, late at night when the sun goes down. A magnificent event that we have every year that everybody just stands around in awe, and that's our fireworks show. It is not too late to donate money. It's as simple as driving downtown into this office out front and putting your money down on the counter, and they'd be more than happy to accept it. I don't know where we're at. I'm not motivated by anything, but I know that we'll accept money right up to fireworks time, and if it's even after that, we'll put it towards next year's. it's not too late. Come on down, make a donation if you haven't already, and it'll be very much appreciated.
Thanks, Councillor Rhodes, and thanks for the reminder. I'll do that today yet.
Good, thank you. I'll walk out there and make sure that you do that.
Okay. Councillor Ryan, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to talk about two things. First of all, I want to remind everybody that tonight from 6:30 to 8:30 at the Sonora Center, there is a presentation by Environment Canada on the species at risk in our area, and what can be done, what they are, and what can be done to mitigate some of the dangers that they're in. So if you have some time tonight, please drop by and check it out. So I also want to then say that the other concern I have is about our Don't Move a Muscle campaign. And on the front of my computer here, I have a reproduction of what you will find if you go to the website don'tmoveamuscle.ca, and you don't put any punctuation in there. There's no apostrophes. There's no periods or anything like that. No spaces. But please go. In the middle, you'll find this little button that says "Speak Out," and it will sign you up to a letter to our politicians, federally and provincially. We have, the town has put together a resolution which was passed at our Southern Interior Local Government Association, and it is going to the UBCM, and it asks the provincial government to have inspection stations at our borders with the province of Alberta, and it also asks the federal government and the provincial government to cooperate in points of entry from the United States. So basically, by clicking on this little button, you are sending letters to MLAs and MPs saying that the provincial government should have inspection stations not only in those locations, but ideally in various places throughout the province as well where there are lakes, and also that the federal government would pass regulations requiring its Canadian Border Service agents at ports of entry to inspect watercraft or invasive species before allowing them into Canada. So I really urge you to go and go to this website, don'tmoveamuscle.ca. Click on that, and they'll ask for your name and your address and so on. Please fill that in and then hit the send button, and you're helping to keep our lake free of all these invasive species. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Ryan. Councillor Bond, please.
I'm going to pass. Thank you very much. We did talk quite a bit in our AGM about some of the great things that we've done, and I guess the only one that I will bring up is the splash park. What a great time at the grand opening, and I appreciate everyone's work, from Jim King flipping hot dogs to the daycare bringing out the kids. It was just a fantastic day. The sun came out. It was warm out there. Perfect day to jump in the water. And I've been by it several times and been used by many kids. So, yeah, that's it for me. Thanks.
Thanks, Councillor Plant. I'd just like to congratulate the volunteers and all the workers that put on the horse racing in Osoyoos on Saturday. It was really a great show. Tons of work involved. Just eating people up, but it was very successful. Right from the beer garden and everything was good. The attendance was good. You know, could always be more, could always be better, but they just did a bang up job. The weather cooperated. Everyone that was there had a great time, and there's another racing day coming up in August. So if you didn't make this one, plan on the next one. I understand there's going to be more horses, more BC horses, because it's a Black Day at Hastings Park. So I guess that means no racing there. So they may come up and take in a tour and get a couple of races in the interior. So do plan on attending. Council is I'm getting excited about Desert Live, about the 4-day music festival. Councillor McCordoff and I are be attending a couple meetings on it in the next 2 days. This is going to happen. This is moving forward. There was some financial support offered by the town to get this going. This is our first step in a lot of years to move forward and get some activity going in town. So I really hope there's a good support locally. I'm sure if there's good weather, we'll be able to have good support for this, and a lot of people, again, really working countless hours to bring this all together. So on behalf of council and town, thanks a lot for volunteers. On a personal note, I just sort of been tied up a bit and maybe not even thinking right at times, but my mom passed away, so on behalf of Martha and myself and Terry and Alina, just like to thank everybody for the kind words and letters of condolence and comforting words and thoughts that people just stop when you're at the racetrack. I think I had more hugs than I've had in the last 10 years. So that was very, very pleasant, and really appreciated that on behalf of our family. Motion to adjourn, please. Councillor Plant, Ryan, all in favor? We're adjourned. Unfortunately, instead of looking at the sunny Osoyoos, I'm looking at what appears to be rain. It's the darn cherry rains.
Cherry rain, yeah. Yeah.
Good afternoon, folks.
Where are you going? You're inviting us to supper.